This was our RC 2014 Classic 2 at the end of the last video, with the CPU, ROM and RAM modules in place. Today we are going to add the serial I/O module. This module has 3 resistors, 2 capacitors, the edge connector, 2 smaller connectors and 2 sockets to solder into place. As always, we need to identify all the components we need for this module. For assembly, you will need your soldering iron, a pair of wire snips, ideally something to hold the circuit board in place, plus possibly a multimeter to allow you to check the value of the resistors if you are unsure of the color coding. Having identified all that you need for this serial I/O board, you are now ready to begin assembly. The serial I/O module is the part of this retro system that will allow data to pass to and from your PC, allowing you to know what your RC 2014 is actually doing. As we have done in previous videos, we will solder in the lowest profile components first, the resistors and capacitors. Having a frame of some sort to hold the circuit board in place will make the task of assembly both easier and safer. For those that have not done any soldering before, it's always a good idea to wear eye protection, just in case. As all 3 resistors on this board are the same value, and we are getting towards the end of this project, it won't be difficult to identify the resistors. But if in doubt, use a multimeter to check the value of the resistors before you solder them in place. Now that the capacitors and resistors have been soldered in place, take a moment to examine the circuit board with a magnifying aid. This is to ensure that all the solder joints have been completed and there are no solder joints where there shouldn't be. Trim off the leads from the resistors and capacitors and dispose of these little bits of conducting material to ensure they don't get caught up elsewhere in the RC 2014. Now we can look to solder in the edge connectors. These need to be aligned correctly to avoid the module or the connectors to it sitting at odd angles. This first connector will link to your PC via a serial cable, the FT-DI cable. You can either power the board via the 5V babble jack on the backplane or via this FT-DI connection from your USB socket on your PC. As with the other edge connectors, solder just a couple of pins in place to hold the connector steady, then finish the soldering on your frame, following that up with the usual visual inspection. It's tempting to work very quickly to finish the assembly, but a little time taken to check as you go along will save endless time debugging the hardware later. Now we can solder in the long edge connector. This carries all the signals to the rest of the RC 2014 Classic, and the sockets which will hold the 2 chips. Followed of course by the usual visual inspection to ensure that all is well. The last item to be soldered in place is the 2-pin connector, which is used to select if you are powering the system from the FT-DI cable or from the 5V babble jack connector on the backplane. One last inspection and we are ready to fit the 2 chips into their sockets. The circuit board is marked for the orientation of the socket with a notch to match that on the chip. This ensures we put them in the right way round. As the chips are delivered with the legs slightly splayed out, they need to be very gently bent inward slightly to align the legs with the socket. This can be easily done by bending all the legs at the same time against a flat surface, such as your tabletop. Once these correctly line up with the socket, the chip should be easily inserted with a little bit of pressure into its socket. Using the same technique with the last chip will complete the assembly of this module. The final stage, of course, is to fit the module into the backplane. Our RC 2014 Classic II now has 4 modules in place and awaits the final clock and reset module, which will be in the next video. But that's it for today. Thank you for watching.